Well, hello, and I'm back. Can I grab me some water because I was pretty thirsty? Speaking of thirst and needing to stay awake, thank you all if you are joining me for the first time and started following me. I appreciate that. And if you want to help support this channel, I've got a little Amazon link that you hover over the video, you can see it, and I've got stuff that I do and things that you can get yourself, little treats like coffee and jelly beans and what have you. And ordering will help support this channel and hopefully let me get more content and bring it your way. So, did we decide on what we wanted to motion edit? It's kind of cool. It's a burst through door. Walk normal. Is my chat working? I had this problem last week. It's like people were trying to text me things and nothing was popping up on my chat. Let me check this out. Hey, Chuck, how's it going? Working. All right. Yep, it's working. Yay, chat's working. Oh, Windows updates. You gotta love them, right? All right, so combat walk, burst through door. Are you saying animate Lupin? Lupin's back there sleeping. I don't know if you can see him. I think you can see him back there, like tired. Tired little dogs. Well, I think I'm gonna do this walk because it's easy. Unless somebody says something otherwise. All right, so where did we leave off? So we've got kind of a live retarget, right? So let me show you that floor contact again. Yeah, if motive gave us more than a biped. Yeah, it'd be nice to do quadrupeds, wouldn't it? Like a default quadruped setup. Here it is, floor. So here's my invisible floor. And I'm just going to raise this up till those feet come up off the floor. Right about there. So remember, if you can do big gross movements by just left clicking, or you can do more smaller movements by right clicking and moving around. It's kind of a little tip, little pro tip there. All right, so I'm gonna just plot this down. Let's plot to skeleton and plot to control rig. I think I'll grab this mocap. I'm going to throw it onto its own. See, I throw it into its own group so I can hide it quickly. Well, help if I selected it. Select, update. Now hide. There we go. I think I'm going to look at these arms first. Just going to do a quick little edit on these arms so they're up and out of the way. This other arm has almost no swing on it at all. I think it's because the character had a gun arm, so it was pretty rigid. That's okay. We can amplify that motion, make it a little bit nicer. So we were talking about rig and fingers. This is what it looks like if I try to do IK. Without putting in that extra joint. Yeah, it doesn't quite work the same. Gotta have that extra joint in there. So let's just get a kind of a general pose on this hand. Delete that key. Got the new key. Let's call that a... Ooh, his neck. Look at his neck. His neck's pretty crazy. That's an easy fix. Neck fix. Neck fix time. Oh, yep. You hear the dogs? Oh, you dogs, come and say hi. Hear me say dogs. Good dogs. All right, go lay down. All right, so let's see what are we gonna do here. All right, so we'll call that a pass. Plot this down. Plot skeleton. Plot back to control rig. That's just a simple fix. Let's amplify that arm. And we'll do that in the base animation layer. So I like to ghost my keys. You'll see what I mean here in a second when I say ghost. You can see I've ghosted him so I can play with this curve without worrying about destroying my animation. And it kind of keeps the general original motion of the motion capture. Or at least whatever that was edited. So I'll put a little more motion on his arm. Not great. Not as good as the other arm. I'll have to think about it, what to do. But let's concentrate on these legs, because that's kind of really what I'm interested in. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to stabilize these feet every time they hit the ground. If I can look at the curve, I can kind of see what's going on. It lifts up here. I want that flat, because he's a robot. Just that curve. And when he comes down, he's going to clank, and it's chunk right there. I'm going to do that in the X as well. I think I want that value. So you can actually copy your value right up here. And you can paste them. And it'll flatten out your value. Just that curve a little bit. Alrighty, it's a lot more like it's sticking to the floor. I'll do the Z value. So one more time, I'm going to select a key, copy that value, select all the other keys that I want to paste that value onto, and just hit paste, enter, and it's flattened it out. Now, because he's moving forward, it's going to be a different value, so I'm going to have to come up here and find the value I want. So he's going to come in and chunk right there. You can also hit copy, select the next key, paste, and so on. That'll work too. I also think I want this foot to pick up higher when it walks. So I'm gonna come here. Gonna grab this. Start raising that up a little bit. I'm raising it, but it doesn't seem like it's raising. Why is it not raising up? Let's figure this out. I know why it's not raising up. My constraints are still on. Let me go turn off those constraints. There it goes. Now it's doing what I was trying to get it to do. And it looks silly. Go put that back down to a more reasonable level. I think I can get rid of some of this bobbity bob stuff that's going on. See, he doesn't have like a typical hill strike, and the motion capture came from a character with hill strikes. What are you two doing over there? What are you two doing? Come here. Come here. Come here. Oh, you're just a good dog. Oh, there's Luna. There's Luna. They're just having a good time. All right, go. Lay down. They don't listen to me. I think I want to get rid of this other little dip going on right there. I think I want it to kind of come in and go shook-chunk, right? So I might delete a few more of these and start playing with these curves a little bit. It's kind of hard to tell with him moving forward. Yeah, I think you're right. A little bit of compression would be really good. I'll try working on this one leg and see what kind of what I can get. I think I'll do that in an animation layer. Oh, I think I need to fix the X before I do that. That's a little bit better. It's not as quite as wobbly. All right, let's go into that animation layer. See what kind of flare we can put on this. It does just kind of get it to that little bendy thing right there, maybe. So maybe I'll set a body part mode. Set a key. I'll set a key right there. I'm going to plot everything down first. Plot skeleton, plot back to control rig. Just want to make sure I'm working with clean stuff. There we go. Clean. Maybe where the weight's coming down onto this leg, I can get it to bend a little bit. When it hits, maybe I can get a little bit of a flex. I want that same flex here. Maybe too much of a flex. It's kind of hard to tell since it's just single cycle. You can also take the pull vector and add a little bit of shake and wiggle to it. Let's see. I think I'll start in a forward position like that. So other things I can do to try to get him to feel a little more spidery, since it wasn't shot like half spider monster man. You can go to those hips, and I can see what kind of sway I can give him. Let's see, let's try some back and forth. He's kind of big, right? He might sway back and forth. How would I shoot this? Let me think about that. I think I'd have my actor up on his toes, for one. I don't think I'd want him to do heel strikes. I would probably have him go through the walk until I kind of felt like the gait was right. I'd probably be doing a live capture on stage. Or not, well, I'd be seeing what we're capturing live in Motionbuilder or in-game or something on the actual character. So I think what we would do is we'd start trying to get the character to get into or the actor to get into this character and kind of start feeling like I'm a spider creature. I guess it depends on the art director too. Does the art director want it to be more of a creepy crawly spider, or does he want, because it's like technically it's not a spider, right? He's only got 4 legs. Does he want more of that pom 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 kind of a leg? What are you doing, you little barking dogs? You go lay down. So yeah, I kind of like the thought of like chomp 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 like that. What? Silly dogs. So suspension 0. Yeah, gravity harness. Yeah. Yeah. So I think that's a good idea. If you wanted kind of like that smooth spider feel, like a harness and wire, doing some wire work, that'd be pretty cool. Yeah, I could dig that. What are you two doing back there? Stop it, Jesus Christ! Go lay down. I'm glad that wasn't on camera. Oh my God. Maybe I wish it was on camera. That would have been a great clip of the week. You two dogs. They're humping each other. I'm like, what are you two doing? Stop it. But yeah, I think for something smooth, you want that, because spiders have that real smooth kind of arachnid kind of feel to how they kind of like flow across things. So yeah, it'd be cool to have the actor get there and kind of like come around and do that sort of a thing. Delicate movements, yeah, definitely. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could go either way. Like, can you two stop it? So yeah, you could probably do one of you could do that, or you could do the big heavy pounding kind of footsteps, which is kind of what I'm going for here. Is kind of like the big heavy ones. Yeah, definitely. So anyway, I like to experiment and I like to play, so I'm going to keep that. I'm just going to experiment with moving this character back and forth. Some little side-to-side action here. Probably smooth that out a little bit. That's probably too much. So the cool thing about ghosting is like you can sit here, you can experiment with a curve, and then you can swap back and forth to see how it feels pre-edit and post-edit. Yeah, hip sway, so like back and forth, kind of like that. That'd be cool. I think I might try. I don't like that. Oh, I had his chest selected for some reason. Ah, silly me. Let's try that to his hips. Yeah, definitely. Definitely starting to feel a little more. I'm gonna think I'm gonna add a little up and down to him as well. I feel like maybe that kind of like bobbing impact is not quite there. But I gotta be careful that it's not super bouncy, right? What do you think? Maybe too much? Too much bob up and down? Yeah, I think you're right about lagging it. So I've got ghosting on right now, but I want to say if I plot down, I lose my ghosting. I can't remember. Let's find out. What happens if I plot down? Oh, can't do it while it's playing. Plot to skeleton, plot to control rig. What happens? Oh, no, my ghosting is still there. That means I can get back to my original curve if I want to. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop this. I think by looping, it's going to be able to give me some of that lag that you're talking about. It's right now just a single cycle is very difficult to work with. So let's try doing this in story. Except I didn't paste poses yet on this guy, right? I did some work and then didn't think about doing the poses. Let's do poses real fast. Pose control. Full body. Let's create that pose. Set a full body key. Here. And get rid of that. Keep that. And paste. Only that one leg I was doing a little bit editing on moved. The rest of him stayed pretty much looped. Alright, so I'm going to plot that down. Let me hide this real fast. What's really funny is he still has those little itty bitty legs sitting there trying to walk. Thought you might find that funny. All right, so let's try this. Insert character animation track. Character. Insert current take. Let's try 3 cycles. And then regret our decision later. All right, select his hips. And see about matching to next clip. All right, so I can see it's extended. It's interesting, my rigging is popping off. I wonder if that has been put into a character extension or not. Let's find out. Let's see, frame start to end. I think I'm gonna put all this down to 0, frame 0. Here's my little trick, because I'm going to get back to the original single loop, is to put the middle clip right at frame 0. So yeah, again, just a tip, you can plot many different ways. Don't plot whole scene to current take, because it adds keys places you don't want keys. It's best to just come right up here and hit plot to skeleton and plot back to control rig. Delete. All right. What's going on here? That's weird. Alright, well, I'll just delete those keys. And it's fine. It is fine again. So yeah, things I want to do is I think I'd want to offset these legs so they're not quite so twinned. Let's do that. So, how can we do that? There's different ways we can do that. But this is the way I'm going to try. See if it works. I'm going to select my main controls for that leg. I'm just going to try shifting it forward or backwards a couple of keys. Let's see. think I want it forward. No. Let's try that. Maybe I'll do it a little bit more. So it'll feel like he's reaching out a little bit more with that front leg. And I think I'll take this leg, make it lag behind a little bit. I don't know. I'm just guessing. This is me flying by the seat of my pants, people. My thing I'm looking out for, though, is I don't want to IK lock the leg, if at all possible. So now we're kind of, if we look at the top view, you can see it's a little more of a interesting walk. I think I may straighten that up a little bit. I'm debating. So he kind of has this sideways gait. He kind of walks bladed because the original character was walking kind of bladed. See, wouldn't the legs move more mirrored though? Yeah, that's a good question. Would they move more mirrored? I don't know. I think what it comes down to is how does the animation feel? I mean, you do have to think about kinematics and how things move in a realistic way, because you're probably trying, especially if you're dealing with motion capture and trying to keep things on that realistic level. Yes, you don't want to stray too far away, but at some point you kind of have to sit back and take a poetic license and say, if I sat back and I kind of like squinted a little bit and I looked at it through squinted eyes, how does it feel? Does it feel about right? When you look at like a dog or a horse walk, a lot of times you'll have 3 feet on the ground at the same time, while one leg starts to pick up or is transitioning or is starting to be put down. Kind of like how these 3 legs are kind of planted, but this leg right here is getting ready to move forward. So there's kind of like this interesting gait that animals have, and so you could probably add something into that so it feels more like that, I think. I believe like the dogs and cats walk in a, I think somebody pointed out one time, is like a tripod, with generally three feet touching the ground. Not when they're like running, obviously, but even when they run, it's like their back legs go hit, and then one of their front legs will come down and hit. And as that first leg is coming down, or that last leg is coming down and hitting the back, one of the back legs is already up. So I don't know. You have to study some high-speed animal walking and trotting and what have you. Animal walks are crazy. One of the studios I worked for, I wasn't there at the time, but they were doing a special, and they had to motion capture horses. And they went to medieval times, and they marketed up horses there and set up their... They had 8 cameras. I think it was 8 cameras, something like that. And they set that up in the arena to capture the horses. Yeah, 8. We're talking 1998, 97. I'm trying to remember. It was such a long time ago. The thing that they were working on was called Night of the Headless Horseman, and I was so excited as a young animation student in college that a local animation house is doing a made-for-TV movie Halloween special. It was all done in Lightwave and off-the-shelf software, and it was a big to-do, and they were advertising. It was all over the news. And then I watched it, and I was just like, you got to be kidding me. You think this is good? And when I took a job at that studio, I had no idea that they actually worked on that movie at the time. But, you know, being young and just trying to get into the industry, I was really looking for work. Yeah, 8. Maybe they had 9. It's like 8 or 9 cameras, something along those lines. Not very many. Not very many cameras. Look at this leg. I want to check this leg out. Yeah, it was a Viacom system, and they still had that old system when I was there. And so if you probably remember this, back in the good old days, Viacom, you would have like a control box that you plug all your cameras into. And it was probably about the size of a VCR. Well, they had one that was like huge. It had to have been, you know, a good meter by a meter in size Viacom box that everything plugged into. It was like a long time ago. Oh yeah, there's the link to it. So if anybody worked on that, I apologize, but I just remember watching it going, man, this was hard. It was hard for me to watch, but I got to see some of the original character designs for that. So they had like print ups of like all the original characters. I mean, it looked really cool. I looked at it, I was like, man, why didn't you run with these characters? And it turned out that the network, I think was it Fox that it was on? Fox had looked at them and said, no, we don't want that. We want to go this other way. And so they had to redo all those characters. And in what you see there in that link. And it's just like, what? And then I heard all sorts of horror stories and just all sorts of problems on set. But anyways, I shouldn't be talking about that. I have a few friends who worked on that. I met in the industry, you know, since then, and I know they all work their butts off. So anyways, I wouldn't call this great by any stretch. I need to go in and I need to actually like pin these feet down and get these things working. Fix those curves. I think I'd want to add more sway to his body. I think I might do that on an animation layer though. So there's a reason why I went into story and I did what I did, where I put the first clip at negative whatever, started the second clip at 0, and so on, is because I don't have to remember what the keyframes are in my looping frames. So I can see that negative 49 is right here. So my end frame would actually be, guess what, 49. And then this would be 0. And then I've got my loop, which is kind of hard to see. But yeah, you can see there's my loop. And that's why I put things in story the way I did. Recently I got to see some footage of I forget which studio doing some horse capture, and it looked like a lot of fun. And they had some special stuff that they were doing, putting around the horse's hooves, and to make sure markers don't come flying off and and not hurt the horses. So I think it'd be fun to capture something like that. All right, so where was I? I was going to do some finagling with this upper body. Don't know if I want it to go this way. Or the other way. And I think I want to add some rotation in it, like he's trying to struggle to walk. Again, not the loop that I think I would have kept it at negative 49 and worked with the entirety of the loop. That way I could get that that flow for that whole walk. What was that? That was 49 to what? Check my curves. It will tell me. It's 49 to 98. So my brain is too tired to do the math. So yeah, Crispin is one of those guys. I kept hearing his name, and you know, everybody. Michael Nepadano talked about him, and Vince Sidwell talked about him, and just all these guys that I worked with, like Crispin. He, you know, so he kind of became larger than life, so to speak. And then I got the opportunity to work with him on Starhawk, because he was working up at Modus Digital, and so I finally got to meet the guy, and we both talked about working at Cat Studio back in the day, and we both had some good laughs, and I shared my stories of how I'd be in the middle of work and the power would get cut off because Trent didn't pay the electric bill, and stories of how my paychecks started bouncing because yeah, just because Trent, and and so yeah, and I actually learned a lot from Crispin. Crispin's like super knowledgeable. Yeah, but yeah, Crispin's like super knowledgeable, and if you go back and you look at my character setup, Crispin gave me some advice for setting up characters, and he said whenever he does a character, let me see if I can do this. Whenever he sets up a character, he doesn't just kind of, like we saw this guy T-pose, his clavicle is down, and his arm's kind of straight out to the side, which is unnatural, right? Because when you lift your arm up, your clavicle raises up. So he kind of gave me the advice of going in and taking that clavicle, whenever you characterize a character, actually take their shoulders and bring them up so that it feels more natural. And I've carried that advice across a lot of projects and characters with me over the years, and it's worked out really, really good. And it's interesting because I've worked with some big name, motion capture vendors where we're like sending stuff out and we're getting stuff back in, and these people don't know how to properly characterize motion capture to work with my characterization of a skeleton. So what would happen is, we would get data back where all the shoulders are up like this, right? Because they've characterized their motion capture where it's down like this, like its default angle. The arm's going straight out. So when they put the natural motion back onto the mocap skeleton, it comes up, but that amplifies my character, which is already natural, to be up higher. So we get a lot of characters walking around like this. And we've also occasionally had the reverse, but it's a little more rare, where the shoulders are like super down, really low, because they needed to go the other direction with the characterization of the mocap. And they're like really, I can't even do it. It hurts. My shoulders are cramping trying to do this. Yeah, so another, I'm kind of like just chit chat now. I kind of stopped motion editing. See, that drives me nuts because riggers aren't placing clavicles correctly. And then you have people who T-pose characters without lifting the clavicles, and it causes crazy things there too. Yes, absolutely. Funny story, but I'll remind me the Duke Nukem story, about shoulders, and this is really funny. It's funny, but yeah, I actually had a vendor uncharacterized. They couldn't get the mocap to look right on our character. So they literally uncharacterized our character and repositioned the joints, put their motion capture onto it, and then handed it back to us. And at first we're like, oh, that looks good. And then when we started trying to retarget to all of our other characters in game who are characterized, well, guess what? Totally broke. I caught him on it, and I called him out in the middle of a meeting with the head CEOs of our company, and I'm just like, did you do this? Like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, you can't do that. You can't uncharacterize somebody's character. And I mean, I'm paying you good money to put motion capture onto these characters. And by the way, it wasn't my idea. I actually like to retarget my own motion capture. I don't like other people doing it for me. But I actually caught this vendor doing. I'm not going to mention any names, but this was a big studio, and it was very, very, very upsetting. And anyways, it's just one of those nightmares. And I'm kind of glad we're no longer in contract with this in particular company, because it was just too much. But the person who is retargeting and whatever the mocap is to your characters, everything can break down in that retarget if it's not solid. If you don't have a good as accurately as you can retarget, you're just creating so much more work on the back end for the animators who are trying to get in there and motion edit this stuff, and they're having to recorrect, refix, and it's just horrible. But speaking of funny stories and Duke Nukem, so when I got there with the old people have been working on the game for so long, they've kind of like transitioned out or got fired or left or whatever, because there's a big shift in management when I joined 3D Realms, and I was there with the new animators, and we started looking at all the characters that they had worked on before, and I kid you not, the clavicles, the right clavicle was on the left side and left clavicle was on the right side. I go, what? How'd this happen? Oh, somebody must have accidentally misparented something. So I went to kind of go fix it, right? It's like, this has got to be broken. And then I realized, oh no, they meant to do that. They actually put the left on the right and the right on the left, and what would happen is you would go to rotate the shoulder, and it would like swing out like that from the body because the pivot's like way over here. And the joke was it's cross clavicle technology. So that became an inside joke at 3D Realms, is the cross clavicle technology. We ended up fixing a lot of it in our characters. Like we fixed Duke, we fixed the Enforcer. Any new characters did not have cross clavicles, but unfortunately the pig cops, if I remember correctly, the pig cops still had cross clavicles. In fact, because I'm a big RoboCop fan, I made it. Remember OCP, that logo, the shapes, those OCP. I made a CCT version of that, call it for cross clavicle technology. So, but anyways, that's my funny story. Oh yeah, yeah. So somebody mentioned later that crossing the clavicles, kind of because the joint. They were telling me that the shoulder is interesting. It's almost like a floating joint, and the thought was, the theory behind why they did that was it kind of gave, when you did animate it, kind of normally it kind of gave that kind of floaty feel to it. But I don't know. I could be wrong. Like I said. I am not a rigging expert, nor do I claim to be. So there. I would not call this a great animation, but it is an animation nonetheless. Man spider. Is this like man bear pig? It's man bear pig. Let's look at that other burst through door. Oh, that's because I turned it all off and I never plotted it down. That's why he's not working. Let me get back here and let me turn on these constraints. Let me point him to the character. There we go. Now he's reading the motion capture. There we go. It's kind of cool. This time I will remember not to leave positions turned on. I'm like, why are none of my settings working? How come my keys aren't working? So I'm kind of going through that again with this foot control. I'm just kind of flattening out the floor contact points. Just making those curves a little bit smooth. So how would I fix this in case of something that would break the gate, like spider.Bot gets hit by an explosion or something? How would I address that? All right, so see how I can explain this. You would treat this character like you would treat any other character. You have a walk cycle, you have idles. In this case, he's bursting through a door, right? So he's doing this bursting motion. You have jumps. You have, if you're a human character or whatever, you could crouch down. So you have all these cycles, these sets, and they have these common poses that these characters go into and out of, such as the idle pose, the walk pose, those sorts of things. So when you create like a hit reaction, you'd probably put him into the idle pose, for example, like however he stands, and then you do like these hit reactions where it's like real big and I don't know, whatever you decide to animate, you animate. Everything gets exported into the game, and then when a hit reaction triggers your character to play that animation, it will seamlessly blend from whatever he came from to being hit back into wherever he came from. So let's say he's running, and you want a hit reaction of like a flail of his arm getting thrown back. You just animate that, right? Make it look realistic. And or however the stylization of your game is, and so and then it'll be an upper body animation. So as he's running, you get the and it just kind of like throws him back. It flails. But anyways, that's kind of how it works. So hopefully that answers your question. In fact, I think this guy has a. Pretty sure he has it. See if I can find it. It's around here somewhere. Here it is. It's this movement node. I'll unhide this. Where is that movement node? It is here. It's hidden. There it is. I couldn't see it because it was hidden behind that marker. But it's this little joint that's right here. This is a movement node. Technically, you don't need this end joint. It's just there for the animators to visually be able to see that joint. Let me make that a little bit bigger so it's a little bit easier to see. So just scale that up. Change that color to something easier to see. This color. All right, so what this is in a video game, it's a movement node, and this movement node tracks underneath the character. So when I'm finished doing, let's say, this animation, let me go back to 0. He would move forward to here, and then this would be like right underneath him, like that. Did that not move? Why did that not move? Is that constrained to something? It's very strange why that didn't move. Why did that not animate? I do not know. It's like it's not accepting keys. Let me check this. Are you claiming bug? It could be a bug. Yeah, look at that. The keys, there's no keys here. That's really strange. Motionbuilder. I'm still blaming the Windows update that I had last night that caused me to crash 50 times while I was trying to set these files up. Why would that not key? Oh, story button. Let's see if that works now. There's nothing in story though, so go back to F curves. I should at least see a key in here, right? I mean, I see the keys up here. Try it on animation layer. No. You know what? When in doubt, you know what you do? You save, you quit, and you relaunch Motionbuilder. I started getting ghosted keys, so I'm thinking Motionbuilder is probably a little bit tired and needed to be restarted. So there's a bug in Motionbuilder where I think this is the one I was working on, right? Yeah. There's a bug in Motionbuilder where you'll select something that doesn't have any keys on it, and let's say in an animation layer, but there you'll see these little ghosted keys there, and they're actually from another object somewhere in the body. And when you start seeing that, you're like, okay, time to restart Motionbuilder. Let's see if this works. Of course, I can't select it because of reasons. Well, this is promising. I've now got green in my translation and rotation, and there's my key. And let's go forward to the end frame and move that forward. And it works! Victory! Motionbuilder needed to be restarted. Yay. All right. So go to right about there. So yeah, so this movement node, this is going to track underneath your character the whole time. Usually this is linear animation. So all the game really cares about is its starting point and stopping point. And if he's in the middle of, let's say, a move where he's moving forward and he gets hit right here, because the hit reaction has that node there in relation to his body, when he plays a hit reaction, he will stop right here in space in the game and play the hit reaction. If, for example, let's see, how can I do this? So it makes it more. What happens if that's not underneath him and all of a sudden he plays another animation, or it's underneath him and he plays another animation where it's not underneath him. It's like back here at 0 or something. What will happen is his whole body in the game would be like da 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 da. Then he goes to play that animation. It will actually like pop back here, and continue playing the animation. So you'll get this like weird popping back and forth. So in a video game, that movement node is just like it's just a little node that's moving around in the game, and the animation is like window dressing. It's a decoration that represents that node. So all of our animations are moving in relation to it. They all work in loop, and all the poses match each other, and that's kind of the principle behind how animations work in video games, so to speak. So there, yeah. And because I believe is this a character extension? It might be a character extension since it's green. But no, it is not. So I do not have that in my character extensions. But if I put it in a character extension, I could create my pose here, and be able to match it. And that's how and that would move with the character and the pose and everything. And that's kind of the way you get poses to match up. I think I want some big high stepping feet. I think I want this leg to be much higher. I'm going to go ahead and keep that curve just in case I change my mind. I flatten those curves down to 0 because I know that node, when it's flat, when it's zeroed out, it's on the floor. Let's make a little adjustment here, a little adjustment there. Later on, I'd probably come in and I'd add a little bit of a smooth with my filters. Smooth. Expand it so I can see everything. So when you smooth, here's a tip for smoothing. You want to smooth in small increments so you don't destroy your curve. Now there's different smoothing algorithms. Butterworth is really good, especially with dirty mocap. But I probably wouldn't use it when I'm hand keying or motion editing. Typically, I actually prefer the regular smooth when I'm doing the other. I find it gives me a much better result, personally. It takes out a lot of the little hitches that Butterworth doesn't necessarily get out. But again, Butterworth is amazing, absolutely amazing. Let me cancel that because Butterworth is right up here. Butterworth is amazing for like retaining the actual curves and getting rid of like peaks and valleys and other types of dirty mocap hitches. But when you do use smooth, because I'm at 30 frames a second, my default is 4, so that's 4 frames with a sample count of 0.8. What I like to do is I actually like to turn it down to like 2, and then I smooth. Wait, did that smooth? Preview. Ah, there it goes. Accept. So you can see it actually changed that curve. If you smooth too much, you can actually get cushy, soft feet and soft contact points, and that's bad. You don't want that. You usually want that nice, crisp contact with surfaces. So you have to be very sparing with when you use smooth. And I usually just select exactly what I want to smooth, generally speaking, when I'm trying to have, fix hot spots. Just delete that and delete that. Still kind of drifting. I think he's drifting because he's in the Z. Right there. So how far does he go? And then he does a little pickup right there. So right there. And sets it back down right there. That's another way you can do it, since he's not going anywhere after that. I'll take this and get rid of that little pop. Let's look at the X. So the reason why these curves are kind of how they are is because I constrained them to the foot itself, and when the character is walking, he's walking with a heel to toe kind of a strike, so you kind of get this like on a humanoid type character with humanoid type feet. It looks perfectly smooth and fine because you're kind of getting this curve that kind of hits and stops, even though the forward momentum is continuing to go. And like if you're looking at it in the front view, it'd be like hit, strike, or maybe he's kind of coming in from the side as his foot's coming in and landing. And so you kind of get all this extra little X movement and little Z movement that in this case of Mr. Spider Legs, we probably don't want. So random thought, how would you make adjustments if a big variable change like the spider bot suddenly had to crouch under a half closed door and enter? So there's multiple ways you could handle that. You could do a custom canned animation of like when you get up to the door, you do an animation of him just actually crouching to kind of like get underneath it and out the other side and make it look really cool. And that would be like a real high fidelity way to kind of get that. Again, you would be like, where's my starting pose? Where's my ending pose? How is it going to blend with all the other animations? Things you have to think about. So you'd probably start in whatever the walking pose is, and you come out into a walking pose, most likely, because he's going from a walk under the door and into a walk. The second way to do this is you can create a second animation set where he's like crouched down. This is good in situations where you want it to be a little more systemic, where maybe there's a lot of low ceilings that he's a big guy. He's a lot of low ceilings he has to get underneath to walk distances, and you can't have custom animations for him to like go all over the place. So you would have like his own crouch set of animations, or if you will, where he's crouched down to get under things. So you'd have a whole navigation set of that. And whenever he would get to that low object, it would be just transition into the crouch set. And then the third way to do it is you could have an animation offset that is just he's up here, and then we do one where maybe he's like down like this. And it's just a pose. It's a static frame. So what happens is as he walks along, it'll play that additive animation and get him down like this and then back up. It's going to depend on your engineering, or it's going to depend on the engineers and how they get things hooked up in game, on which path you decide to take. So hopefully that answers your question. See, do I find it easier to plan multiple animation scenarios ahead of time, or do you usually wait until the director or whomever asks for something way outside the norm like that? Do those animation manually? It is best practice to block out all the animations that's been requested by design to make something work. Again, I'm strictly speaking about game animations. But like you saw in my pre-show, we had a bar behind us. Tomorrow, we're going to actually be shooting bartender motions. So we spent a lot of time with the designers figuring out how we want to be able to use that bar. I mean, it's like, so we're working really closely with modelers and design to say, here's where the alcohol is, here's where the mixed drinks are, here's where your cups are. This is the table height. This is how far away the bar where the patrons sit is away from the bartender, and how high their bar is, and where you set their glasses. So we're thinking about all these mechanics of how to make this work. And then I went in, or an animator will go in, and we'll block out that animations. Sometimes we use stepped animation. Sometimes we just do linear blends. Just little lerpy stuff, getting the character from like this pose to that pose. Just something so that we can give it to design, and design can hook it up in game, and they can see how it functions. And design usually comes back with, hey, by the way, we need a transition. We need a transition from pouring this liqueur to grabbing a mixer, and then we're going to need one more transition from there to actually grab the glass. So we go in and we start blocking all that extra stuff out in order to build this entire animation set for using a bar, or really anything in game that you're making design for. And so that when we go to the mocap shoot, because motion capture is very expensive, even if you own your own studio, and you're doing it on the cheap. I'm quoting that because it's not really cheap. You're still paying the salaries of everybody who's there trying to do the motion capture shoot. And when you hire an actor and bring them in, you have to be able to direct them and say, all right, you need to, here's the marks you need to hit. This is where you stand. This is about how you stand. Because sometimes it's predetermined. Sometimes you can say, hey, stand however you want within these parameters. And then you can build your poses off that actor. But sometimes the actor comes in and they're filling, we're doing a pickup shoot and they're filling gaps that were missed. So you're like, you have to stand this way, and this is where you can touch, this is where you can't touch. Here's all the things. And the actor goes and they make the acting decisions, as long as they're hitting those poses, like here's my intro pose, and I'm getting ready to deliver a glass pose, and so on and so forth. As long as they're hitting all that and hitting the marks, the motion capture should go off without a hitch. The director can be like, hey, I decided I want to see this other thing. And so you need a technical director on set as well. And different companies call them have different names, TDs, whatever. So let's see. Oh yeah, exactly. Talent being union or non-union. So yeah, like SAG. Oh my God, having to work with SAG actors. Not that the actor is a problem, but dealing with SAG is a problem. That's a whole nother story. But yeah, I lost my train of thought. Let's see. See, since all that is based off of blocking of a set points, if a major factor suddenly changes going from bar height at a 42 to a counter height at 36, would that just destroy all your set points for the adjust variable? So you're saying, like, if let's say a metric changed, if that changes within reason, then you could probably motion edit the motion to work with that prop. And we do it all the time because we shot a bunch of stuff before metrics were created. And we have to adjust to accommodate. But if it's so off that you're having to fight the motion capture, that's when you go, all right, it's time to reshoot whatever that is. So yeah, SAG. So you want to hear how SAG shot themselves in the foot? Well, not themselves. Shot American actors in the foot. So there's SAG US and SAG UK. And because we're shooting on a SAG set in the UK, we can't shoot on a SAG or non-SAG set in the US because it would break some sort of SAG law. And so now we have to hire non-union actors to come in and work for us. So really all SAG is hurting are SAG actors. So anyways, SAG, super annoying group. That's the acronym. I just came up with it. See, makes this line. So anyway, where was I? I was animating before I went on my little animator rant. I think I'll do just a little bit more. I might call it. Like I said, I've got a mocap shoot tomorrow, and anybody who's been on set can testify to how exhausting it can be to be on set. I think I'll move this leg in a little bit. Yeah, rule of thumb: if you start fighting, if you start fighting the motion capture, it's probably time to reshoot what you need, or rethink how you're solving the problem. I like that, but I think I want him to step out again. Yeah, like that. I don't like that where it steps out and then comes back in. I think I'll fix that. Yeah, I think I like that a little bit better. And push it a little bit more. So I'm a big believer in experimentation. There's no like rule, like, I mean, there's guides. There's like, this is the best way to do something, but there's no like set rule of when you're editing motion, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. Generally speaking. So sometimes just getting in there and experimenting and playing with things, you can get some really cool results. I think I'll try that with this foot too, maybe. He doesn't really do much with this foot. He's like there, and then he comes up and then stomps. So let's fix the Y, because why not? There, 0. Trying to do too much at once. 0. Let's add a little bit of a smooth here because I don't think it needs to be so janky. So, maybe a little bit more here. I think it's better to like smooth at a width of 2 twice than a width of 4 once. So the concept of my spider.Bot, is there ever a concern based on game mechanics versus the implied physics? What I mean by that is, let's say the game universe says that spider.Bot has armor that absorbs damage based on X amount of damage. Does that factor into animations, or is that just too many variables to factor in? No, we can have different levels of impact. So a lot of times when we do like hit reactions, we'll have light, medium, and heavy hit reactions. So like transition, so I can demo it. So like a light hit reaction would probably just be like a something like that, where a medium would probably be like you get thrown back, and then like a heavy would be like maybe a stumble like so. And then in game, when you shoot him with a pistol, maybe it's but in like a rifle, it's like a big flail, and then a much bigger explosion or something would cause him to like stumble and go back. So, does that answer your question? So I guess maybe like bumping into somebody would be like a small hit reaction, and then getting shot with a pistol or a ballistics would be like a medium one, and then or a punch. Punch would be a medium one, and then maybe getting shot with a gun would be a big reaction. Yeah, something like that. Somewhere along those lines. I'm not a designer. I let designers tell me what they need. Yeah, pretty much. X amount of damage goes into animation X. So I like that. I like how it's kind of coming up more and boom, stepping way up. I think it needs to start in more. Let me go look at that X curve again. Where do I want this? Oh, somebody asked me the other day about hand keying and stuff, and I guess my answer to them is if I was like, when I hand key in Motionbuilder, I hand key to a certain point, and then I treat the hand key motion like motion capture. That's just how I do it. I think that's cool. I like how this front foot kind of starts off a little bit closer to the body. And kind of like steps out. Kind of like he's coming up is like coming out like that. Yep, exactly. Gotta get that oomph to move. I think I'm going to see what exaggerating the Z does. I'll do that in an animation layer so I don't destroy anything. So I want here. Oh, I don't want to do full body key. See, if SpiderBot is walking, but there are some other unforeseen variables. Planet has low gravity. Yes. See, something that plugs into the character's animation or just things like low gravity are typically done in code. So low G or bouncy jumping behavior or whatever it is that's in your low gravity, that's usually done in code, and it might be accompanied with a special jump, or you might need a special walk if you're like walking on the moon. Try there. So I set my bookmark keys. I think I want him continuing forward just a little bit there. And then coming back. Let's see how that looks. Let's loop it. Kind of like the momentum of his body, the mass of his body is kind of like pushing forward a little bit. Well, I am happy to answer all these questions the best I can. I may not get them all right. I'll be quite honest with you. There are a ton of game engines out there. There's a ton of different games and game studios and different concepts on how to do the same task. I will try to give the answer the best that I can with the experience that of me doing it or me working through the problem on how it could potentially be solved. So I've kind of got the momentum, like he's stopping, but the mass of his body's continuing to pull him forward. Then he kind of recovers a little bit and then settles in. But I think he might need a little bit more recovery. So here's kind of the great thing about working in in an offset layer. Let me see if I can find that key. So here's my key that I'm setting to kind of give that kind of like momentum. You can see how I'm easily able to come in here and say, well, I want him to kind of be offset about that much in this direction and a little bit less in this direction, and then fall into place. If I was to try to do this on the base animation layer, this is what his curve looks like, and it's like it'd be really difficult to just come in here and muck around with these keys because of the forward trajectory. But coming in here, it's much easier to just work with an offset like this, in my own opinion. So if you learn bouncing balls and animation and what have you, and you're working with curves, you would learn kind of like those peaks and valleys of the curve, and so on and so forth as a ball bounces. So it's the same principle here. It's timing and distance traveled and that sort of thing. So a lot of times I'll kind of get the kind of the general idea, and then I'll just come in and I'll just start playing with keys, and I'll start pushing them back and forth until I get that right feel. And then sometimes you'll be like, you move it just one, you move a single key one frame in one direction or the other, and you're like, that's it. That's the timing. Let's see. If it suddenly had 6 legs, would that just throw it all off, or just continue with the same gate replica? Blah, blah. If they came to me and said, "Hey, here's the new 6-legged version," I'd be like, "Great, rig it up for me and let me go animate it." And then what I would do is I would retarget what I currently have to the new 6-legged guy, and I'd probably do the kind of the same process of constraining those feet to the new feet to the old feet, and try to get that same motion to kind of quickly get me back into the flow of it. And I'd be able to take every animation I did in a big stack of animations and be able to retarget that whole stack down, and just it'd probably be a lot of extra work to do with those extra legs, but that'd be a great head start. So soft select fall off now in Motionbuilder. You can move the base curve a bit. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, let's see. Let me look at soft curve fall off. Let's figure this out. That sounds interesting. Soft curve fall off. I like to work in like classic mode because I'm old. Would that be, where would that be? Select keys and box. Weight selection. Maybe that's it. Weighted selection. Unweight selection, weight selection. Did I do it? I have no idea. Fall off radius and bar. So if I got that selected, of the non-classic. All right, so. Oh, hey, look at that. That's cool. Let's play with this. Learn something new every day, huh? Never stop learning. Let's play with this and see what happens. So fall off radius. Are these frames that I'm counting up? I have no idea. Ah, yeah, okay, so cool. Let's try that. Hey, that is really cool. Look at that. Are you able to do bell curves with that as well? So you don't get kind of that linear stretching, but you can kind of get an ease in and an ease out. Depends on the selection. Why am I not getting this to select the way I want it? I wonder because, I wonder. It's really cool. Not this way. What if I slide the other way? No, not that way. It definitely works in values like this. Select less keys. Yeah, let's try one key. So I'm going to do one key. Let's let that radius higher, 39. Whoa, hey, that's cool. I like it. It's kind of linear, but it's not bad. Is this a 2019 feature, or is this actually in 2018 as well? Oh, snap. I got Motionbuilder tip of the day when I get back to work. So where was I? Oh yeah, so I was getting this guy to run and to go forward and stop. So I make this a little bit bigger. Why are you not moving? Well, now my windows don't want to resize. Lovely. Here, I go to preview mode. So I can make it bigger. He says, yeah. I'm coming for you. Yeah. So something I didn't do that you could probably do is you could probably take these little arms here and turn them into character extensions as well and put little rigs on them and get them to move around. It'll all be part of one big character. But yes, I think I am going to call it a night tonight because one, I'm exhausted. Two, I've got a mocap shoot tomorrow and Friday and a dentist appointment in the morning. Oh, I got to go to the dentist. But I am like so happy that you guys have tuned in and talked with me and got to learn new things together. And I forgot how much I suck at rigging, and it probably took me forever to figure out how to get him to this point anyway. As far as like controls and what have you, and I did this so long ago I can't even remember what I did. But yeah, it's but yeah, I'm gonna have to call it a night because I got to get some sleep, and I hope that that y'all have a great night. I don't know if you're interested in traditional sculpting, but I do that on Sundays. You can watch some of my very boring videos and of sculpting. I'm doing an anatomy study. In fact, I'm gonna plug myself my own show with my anatomy study that I'm working on. Go full screen. So there's my little anatomy study I've been working on as of late. Teaching myself anatomy. Been working on this guy, so it's something I'm doing on Sundays, and I really want to finish this guy, but I only have so much time. So feel free to join me. I know Game of Thrones is on Sundays, but after Game of Thrones, just stop on in. I'm sculpting I was doing it for 2-3 hours, but I do it for about an hour on Sundays, and just see how far I can get. But anyway, thank you for joining me. And let me get back to this animation because nobody wants to look at me. You guys want to look at this. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again in the future. And if you haven't hit that follow button. If you're feeling super generous, you can subscribe or do one of the, what do they call it, a Prime gift subscription. That would help out a lot. All the money, I'm gonna buy new mics and cameras and whatever money this pulls in, I'm gonna go find motion capture characters, things that will make, so I'm not using assets from like 12 years ago or what have you. But you all have a good night, and I will see you all in the future.